Josh Allen has thrown an interception in 9 straight games, and he is minus 150 to throw one against the Cowboys, who have 13 interceptions this year. We've got Cowboys, Bills, Chiefs, Patriots, Ravens, Jaguars, 49ers, Cardinals, and every NFL game on Sunday. We're going to take a look at it from the props betting market. Welcome to Prop It Up. I am Andy Lang from WagerTalk.com, being joined, as always, by my fellow prop master, Andrew McGinnis from WagerTalk.com. Congratulations, Andrew. I know you had a 5% play on the Raiders to score 60 points plus. Congratulations on
Yeah.
on that. I'm kidding. That is made up. That is not true. But wild game last night. And just before we were going on, we were kind of planning out, and I was saying, okay, I'll do the intro and we'll just go right into the game. And Andrew, you just made the comment. There are games that I like a lot more than others this week, and I ran into the exact same issue that there are some games I kind of don't want anything to do with, and then there are games that I do like some things. So I just wanted to ask you, we got a lot of games on Sunday. We don't have to bet all of them, and it's okay if we don't have strong opinions on all of them. We're going to talk about all the games, but I think it's important to make very clear, hey, you only need a couple spots to turn a profit. So what's your approach when you were looking at these games and you're coming across these games and you're like, I don't like anything in this one?
Well, I think the approach on our show lately has been great, Andy, when we go to a game and it's just like, this is the play I like. These are a few reasons why. Let's move on to the next game. And I think that it's more, it's just better off saving time to get a little more attention on a player or a few players on one game versus try and force something on another. And I think that honestly, it's whether it's your handicap overall in the game, whether you like a side or whether you like a total under or over in that game, whatever it may be, there's just going to be games on the card each week that you like better as far as a prop perspective. And some that, quite honestly, I just look towards trends. I'm just like, you know what? I'm drawing a blank here, but this guy here is, last 6 weeks, he's struggled. We're going to go under on him, Andy. So, it's just one of those things. There's so many teams. Like, I always tell you, like, I feel like I start every Monday morning. I know it's Friday, but I start Mondays complaining to you about guys I didn't bet on and this and that. But that's just me venting. The low volume approach has been great. It's unbelievable when you have so many games on a Sunday. And I can come in here and be like, yep, I had 3 plays, because you just worry about those couple of plays you did. And so if I came on here and had 7 plays for you on every single game, how would anybody keep track of anything? It would be just way too much, in my opinion.
Absolutely. So, yeah, when we break down these games for the audience, it's okay if you don't like anything in certain games. If you gravitate towards a couple of our plays or you like some of the stats that we give out, that's the best way to take away information and betting and actionable info from the show. So, Andrew, let's go right into it, guys. Don't forget, they're Saturday games. We have 3 of them. First one we're going to talk about, Andrew, you've got Vikings and the Bengals. What did you find in this game?
Yeah, Vikings, Bengals. Obviously, Andy, I'm going to just continue to go with Jake Browning. He's done very well. I don't expect him to slow down by any means. Over the last 3 games, the Bengals are number 4 in passing yards per game. Browning went well over a number of 243.5 in his last 2 games, 275 against the Colts and 354 yards against the Jacksonville Jags. They've scored 34 points in back-to-back games. And, you've got a Vikings defense, pass defense that's kind of middle of the pack here. But overall, I like the fact that a lot of guys are catching balls for the Bengals. It's not just 1 or 2 guys. I would actually look towards some of the bigger name guys like Chase under on receptions, just because 9 guys caught a ball last time out there last week for this Bengals team. So a lot of times when you see a younger quarterback or more inexperienced guy go in there, they usually find their favorite target here, Andy. This has not been the case. This has been a very spread out offense. And because of that, another one I like here is tight end Tanner Hudson, over 2.5 receptions at a plus 125 price, gone over in 4 of his last 5 games. Like I mentioned, many guys on this Bengals team are catching the ball. He's someone that you can get a pretty low number, over 2.5 at a plus price here, averaging 4 receptions per game. And it seems like since Browning took over, he has had a pretty good connection here with Hudson. And I like the fact that he's kind of been that safety blanket, not really catching deep passes. So this is a guy I want receptions versus yards on, but over 2.5 at a plus 125 price, I thought was a good one for a tight end that, of course, you're not going to hear too many reports about, but just two from the Bengals to start things off. Andy, I don't really want much to do with this Vikings team right now, so I'll just give you two from the Bengals.
Yeah, that Justin Jefferson injury bit me. I lost 3 bets on injuries last week. It was I hadn't had one in a long time, and and they got me. Wicks from the Packers starts off with 20 yards, looks like he's going to fly over 30. All of a sudden, he's out, and that Justin Jefferson, not even on the hamstring that he hurt. Like that was what was so crazy about it. I was like, wait, his chest? Oh, so yeah, injuries happen, and no, I did not get on social media and ask for those bets to be voided, because I'm an adult. That's what adults do. So uh, I'm going to take a look at the Steelers at the Colts. And I got to tell you, Andrew, I think this might be one of my favorite games this weekend. I think we've got some pretty clear trends that I want to take advantage of. I'm going to go with Najee Harris over 51.5 rushing. He only rushed 12 times for 29 yards last week. So you say, well, that is really, really bad. And it is bad. However, it is against the New England Patriots, who are absolutely putting the clamps down on the other team's rushing game. They allowed 56 yards rushing per game the last 3, easily the best in the NFL over the last 3 games. How have the Colts done? Well, they've allowed 138 per game the last 3. So if you're Mike Tomlin and you're the Steelers, are you saying, wow, we should let Mitch Trubisky throw the ball a lot? Or are you saying, no, let's let Najee Harris and Jalen Warren run the ball? So I'm all over the Steelers running props. This is a Colts team that is just not, their defense is completely decimated. I feel like I talk about it all the time. I do not like passing props for the Steelers team. I don't see a reason why they would throw the ball. I think you could potentially look at Trubisky under attempts and maybe even some rushing attempts over, but I'll stick with Najee Harris. He's getting more carries. Since they made that announcement that Jalen Warren was a starter, all of a sudden Najee Harris is getting more work. So I feel like that was a smokescreen to us. So I'm going Najee Harris over 51.5. Joe Mixon, Derrick Henry, Rashad White have all gone over their rush totals since the Colts bye week. And this total just seems really, really low. And on the flip side, I'm going Zach Moss under 75.5. I don't know why this number is so high. He has not been productive the last couple weeks. And Jonathan Taylor's out. And so what has Zach Moss done? Well, 28 yards on 13 carries against the Bengals. That's an average of 2.2 yards per carry. 19 carries for 51. That's 2.7 yards per carry. He's not even sniffing 3 yards per carry. I guess you could look at his receiving and say, well, he had 4 catches for 28 yards, so that was okay. That was on 8 targets. They targeted him 8 times because they were down the whole game. I just think this is a Zach Moss and a Colts running game that's going to struggle. And the Pittsburgh rush defense has improved a lot. They're only allowing 85 yards rushing per game the last 3. So I like Najee Harris to get it going on the ground, and I like Zach Moss to not really get it going. So I would take Zach Moss unders and Najee Harris overs. Broncos at the Lions. The Broncos coming on strong. The Lions faltering. Their defense is giving up points and yards. What props do you like in this one?
Yeah, Eddie, I find it interesting. You mentioned about the injuries, though. Like, people find that they can just bet right away on the guy that's next up, right? Next man up. Oh, yeah, Jonathan Taylor's injured. Zach Moss is next man up. If only it was that easy for the guy that's next man up to always be just as good. There's a reason they're the second option, right? So I've been noticing that quite a bit myself in certain situations, especially in other sports, too. The guy stepping up isn't always the same, obviously. Start things off. This seems to be a popular one, and that always worries me, Andy. You know how that goes. But Sam Laporta, over 47.5 receiving yards, of course, tight end for the Detroit Lions. Broncos at the 24th ranked passing defense in the league, giving up 233 yards per game through the air. Second most yards given up per game to tight ends, 69.4 yards. So love this number. I think they have to go to him for success. They were going to him almost more weeks ago than they have been lately, but I feel like they will in this matchup. And it's definitely a spot where the Broncos have improved, but it's, to me, mostly just their offense that improved. If you look at it statistically, like, and you know, some ranking wise, their rushing defense and passing defense has almost slid throughout the season. It's just their offense has gotten better. Like, I feel like their defense has actually gotten worse. So you can find some ways to bet against them, that's for sure, even though they've been kind of better as a team. And I'll go with Courtland Sutton over 54.5 with his receiving, hitting 4 of his last 5 games here. As you've mentioned, I mean, Denver's offense looked better. Detroit's defense has gone downhill. Sutton has at least 60 yards over his last 4 games, and over 4 of his last 5 games, the fewest targets he's had is 4. So I think he's getting there. One game he had 11 targets, and the Lions have given up 25 plus points over their last 4 games. So I feel like he will be a crucial part. One thing great about Courtland Sutton too is that he could turn a lot after yards after catch. Numbers for him are huge. He can turn a 5-yard catch into something big. He also will catch kind of a deeper ball as well. So you love somebody like that when you're worried a little bit about targets or the inconsistent numbers. I mean, you're seeing when you have a guy going from one game getting 4 targets and the next 11, a little bit hard to predict, but it's really nice for me to know that he's going to create a lot after he catches the ball, which makes up for the amount of targets sometimes. So 2 plays I really like, but I will say that Sam Laporta one, that's making the client card.
Love it, love it. We cashed on Cortland Sutton over his longest reception, so I'm pulling for you. Hope he has another big game there. Guys, please hit the like button and leave us a comment. Tell us what your best bet is. A lot of good spots. Let us know what you think in the comment section. If you're enjoying this gambling content, please hit the like button. It helps us out a ton. Couple things to tease here real quick. No, I'm not talking about a 2-team teaser, 3-team teaser. Customer appreciation days are going absolutely beautifully at WagerTalk. We really love the engagement. Love that we can give out some discounts. And yesterday was another smash hit. So we're going to be doing it again on Tuesday. We're going to be doing a $2 Tuesday that involves a lot of handicappers. And it's going to be good for one play. I don't think we're going to do 5% plays, but look for that special for only $2 on Tuesday. It depends what sport you're interested in, but you'll have everything from NBA to NHL, probably NFL, probably even some soccer from some of our soccer handicappers that are crushing it. So get ready for that on Tuesday, another $2 Tuesday special coming. Andrew, we got a huge weekend. What do you have up at wagertalk.com, and where can we find you at?
I've got a 5% NFL play, Andy. I'm excited. My first 5% NFL play in a while now. I'm on a 7-1 NFL run. The props are going well. The sides are going pretty well. So I'm looking forward to it. The low volume takes a little while to build these streaks, but we have gotten there. We've had a great few weeks in a row here, and it is a prop play. So I'm excited. It's on the Sunday card. So always recommend these 3-day passes, 7-day passes, versus just purchasing the one day, right? Or the one bet. That top play goes for $35. Actually, anybody that bought it yesterday got it for half off. But yeah, we're looking at the Saturday card in the NHL already. I'm liking that quite a bit. And man, Andy, I cannot wait for the UFC card. It's going to be fun. I'm still finalizing my card. I believe I might have more plays on the undercard actually than the main card, but there's one play on the main card I've got my eye on. But looking forward to a great weekend. Perfect time to grab a 3-day pass.
Love it. I got a 5% pack that is up as well. There's a promo code if you guys want to take advantage. GIFT25, GIFT25. Takes $25 off a 7-day pass. Might as well lock that in. You get all of Andrew's plays for the weekend, and a few days after that, you get all of my plays as well. Got a 5% NFL and college football pack. 12-3 in college football this season after hitting again last week. So looking to make that 13-3. And we had our 5% play last week. So we got bit by the injury bug on some of our other plays, but when your 5% play hits, you know, it's a good weekend for yourself and for clients. So take advantage of that. Andrew McGinnis at wagertalk.com and Andy Lang at wagertalk.com. Let's take a look at some Sunday games, and we're looking at the Bears and the Browns. And I have to give a shout out to the people in the comment section. One thing Andrew and I have noticed, if one of us mispronounces a guy's name, the comment section is very quick to point it out. And Andrew, you they let you know about it a couple weeks ago. Well, last week I accidentally called Jerome Brown. And Jerome Brown is a deceased Philadelphia Eagles player. And the comment section let me know we're playing his unders. So thank you very much, guys. Very funny.
Okay.
But
I would just love to see people behind that screen that are just so excited to correct us. Like I just mixed up two guys' names. I think it was Zay Flowers and I think
Yes,
it was like
Zay
in the ball.
Jones.
Yeah, in the ball. Yeah, Zay Jones. It's like, okay, like clearly it was just a small little mistake. Like some guy was like, I gotta get on the keyboard. I gotta correct him right now. I don't know. It's to me, it's a simple mistake.
Yeah, post your best bets, not grammar pronunciation. Actually, it was funny.
Yeah.
I didn't even catch that I called Jerome by the wrong name. Oops. But we're talking about Bears and Browns here, and Andrew, I narrowed it down. I come back to one play and one play only in this game, and that is Joe Flacco over 34 and a half pass attempts. He's come in, thrown the ball 44 and 45 times the last 2 weeks. Like, he is absolutely letting it fly, and he looks good. And I bring up the Cleveland Browns backfield because we've got injuries. I don't know who's going to be healthy, but I know that Joe Flacco is going to be healthy, and this is a Chicago Bears defense that is coming on strong, especially in the running game as the year goes on. It's crazy, man. This is a Bears team that is kind of peaking at the end of the year. I thought Fields looked pretty good. They held Detroit to only 13 points last week, and they did a good job running in their rush defense. It's just Flacco. I can't get away from Joe Flacco. I can't believe that Jake Browning and Joe Flacco are these quarterback props that are cashing, but when the numbers are right, you go ahead and take it. I don't see success for Cleveland in this game. I checked the weather. The weather is fine for this game. Crazy enough, the only games with weather look to be in Florida with a lot of wind. Like these games, like up east and in the Midwest, don't seem to have that much wind or that much precipitation. So weather's fine. Cleveland Browns a little banged up in the backfield. Bears good rush defense. Yeah, give me Joe Flacco over his pass attempts. I'll keep playing Flacco props. I can't believe I'm saying that in 2023, but here we are. And I think that's the only play I need in this game. So I'll take Joe Flacco over his pass attempts. Buccaneers at your Packers. Andrew, what do you think? Buccaneers, Packers, what props are jumping out to you?
Well, I'm feeling frustrated. That's what I'm feeling about this Packers team. I mean, you had a couple good weeks, and this is the game you lose. Are you serious? I mean, you go ahead and lose to, Tommy DeVito and his agent that played dress up. Maybe that's what he usually wears. But come on, man. I can't believe they dropped that game. They get a good opportunity to bounce back. I love the quarterback props. Jordan Love, bounce back game, I think, is coming here, playing against the 30th ranked passing defense. And here are a few numbers for you. This first one, well, here's a guy we've made fun of quite a bit, probably me more than ever. Desmond Ridder had 347 yards, on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Minshew, he's a little more respectable, loves to throw the ball, 251 yards. Brock Purdy, 333. But here's the kicker. CJ Stroud had 470 yards against the Bucs. And I know I'm cherry picking some of the best ones, but those are just 4 examples out of the last 5 weeks. So, I mean, quarterbacks are absolutely slicing up this Buccaneers defense. I keep preaching this every single week. It's hard to find receivers to bet on for this Packers team on a week-by-week basis because it seems to be kind of different. I'll tell you, I've started to bet on Kraft over the last few weeks. His number kind of has increased, but he's someone that's kind of been getting a lot of attention. And I saw some quotes that I'm not usually a quotes guy, but Jordan Love, it was almost like he was saying something, but you could read it on his face that he didn't mean what he was saying. It's like one of those sport cliches. And Andy, he pretty much was saying, like, we need to have our guys out there. It's been frustrating having Christian Watson in and out of the lineup. That's pretty much what I took out of his interview. He said, it's next man up mentality. We've got all kinds of guys, but the guy looked like he was sad the way he was saying it. Like, it looked like he was reading a script while he was saying it's the next man up mentality. I can tell he's not happy about the fact that they've had the injury bug quite a bit. So with that being said, I kind of have had a tough time looking at guys to do well. I'd more so still at this point with the bigger name guys for the Packers looking to bet unders just simply based on unpredictability. I do not know every week who's going to have that big day. Now, here's one that is purely just based on betting against something for the Packers and not as much betting on something for Baker Mayfield. Two quarterback props here, over 11.5 rushing yards for Baker Mayfield. I cannot believe that I went away from this prop, fading the Packers last week. Tommy DeVito had 71 yards. All right. Mahomes had 26 on the Packers defense. Justin Herbert had 73 rushing yards. And here's the one that even makes me mad. Kenny Pickett went over this number, okay? And Kenny Pickett barely even could, I don't think he can run if nobody was even coming after him, okay? And so to me, when you have the Packers ranking number 31 in rushing yards allowed per game, and you're going to give me an 11.5 number for a quarterback like Baker Mayfield that averages, 2 or 3 rushing attempts per game, I'm going to take it again. And we have to give an honorable mention to Rachaad White over his receiving yard number. 8 of his last 10 games, he's been far more effective in the passing game than the rushing game. And he's one of those running backs that turns nothing into something, like I mentioned. You can look at his receptions as well, but his receiving yards number has not been adjusted, even though he's gone over this at a large scale. Usually I look at props. When I look at streaks, Andy, these days, it's a 5-game scale. I don't looking at 10-game scale because I kind of break up the NFL into quadrants. But when you got a guy like Rachaad White and you look at the numbers he's gone over, why have the books not adjusted this guy? I'm not sure. That's definitely an honorable mention, but 2 quarterback props for me in that game.
Love it. Andrew and I opened up the show and talked about there's games that we don't like. This is the first for me. To the Texans and the Titans, I have nothing. I have not one prop. We have too many injuries on the Houston side of the ball. I can't get the window on anything because they'd only have some of the Titans props out, and there's not too many of them. I looked at possibly Derrick Henry under his rushing because the Texans' rush defense has been so good, but without knowing what's going to go on with the offense, is this a Houston team that's going to put up 28 points, or are they going to have all their backup quarterback and backup wide receivers, and they're going to put up 10 points? So this is a game. I was researching. I may have spent more time on this game than any other game, only to come to the conclusion, like, oh, wait, yeah, you don't have to bet anything on this one. So this is a pass. And to be honest, even on Sunday when we get confirmation of who's playing, I'm not really sure I'm going to get to the window on any of these. So Texans at Titans, unfortunately, no props in this one. So we'll just move on to the Jets at the Dolphins. And Andrew, this was a game that I think is going to be affected by the weather the most. It's not necessarily the rain. It's the potential of wind. As of this morning, they're saying 20-mile-an-hour sustained winds, which isn't that bad, but gusting up to 35 miles an hour. So we're going to have to keep an eye on the weather in this game. But outside of that, what did you find prop-wise for the Jets at the Dolphins?
Yeah, weather, injuries, and then there's the fact that these teams played not too long ago. 3 things that kind of come into account. I always find it interesting in the NFL when you've got teams that have met already just a couple weeks back. So here's the deal, Andy. I have a prop. I like Breece Hall under on his rushing yards. He does have like a questionable sign next to his name. He hasn't missed a game all season long. I don't know why with this horrible Jets team, they would force somebody like him to keep playing. But it looks to me like no matter what's going on with this guy, they keep putting him out there. He's expected to play this weekend. So if he is going to play, I will continue to bet his unders at least here. And taking a look at the 43.5 number, he's gone under this in 7 of his last 10 games. Miami is 11th in rushing attempts allowed and 7th in rushing yards allowed. Last time out, the score was 34-13. It was a very lopsided game. He had 7 carries for 25 yards. I think he's been more effective in the passing game. I think in general, this Jets team has had to abandon the run after about 6 minutes of play in games like this against teams that are really, competitive and strong, like the Dolphins. Obviously, the Dolphins are going to feel motivated coming off a disappointing effort last time out for them. But I'm actually not going to take anything from them. I'm going to stick with 2 Jets props, and one's going to be the Breece Hall under, and then one's going to be taking the over on Zach Wilson passing yards. It was so funny. I think you had the Jets game last week, Andy, for us, I believe. And I remember you talking about the fact that the guy almost deferred playing the game. Like he was just like, you know what? You didn't want me before. I don't want to play. And the funny thing is this is to me just a buy low spot. If I like the under on the quarterback with his rushing yards, then I have to take a look at Zach Wilson coming off a 300-yard performance. And I know it's not against the Dolphins, but we've still seen 260, 265, 240 for him. And I just think that he has no choice but to pass all game long in this one. The run game didn't work for them last time out against the Dolphins, so I'll be looking towards the passing game. And I will say, I've been having a ton of success with just betting rushing props on the Dolphins. Like, why even try and figure out the receivers, who's going to have that big day? I think I tried to get a little bit too fancy last week with the over longest reception for Tyreek Hill, and unfortunately it bit me. It was like one of the first few weeks he didn't get that. Obviously, injury plays a role, but I'm just going to stick with the Jets, man. I'm going to buy low on Zach Wilson, which I never thought I'd be doing this year, and I'm going to take Breece Hall under on his rushing yards.
Love it. I'm going to take a look at the Chiefs and the Patriots. This is trying to get in the mindset of the Kansas City Chiefs these days is a little bit difficult, but I think you can look at some unders for the rushing game for the Kansas City Chiefs. But honestly, Andrew, I talked about Ezekiel Elliott and his receiving. Flew over it the last 2 weeks, and the books have not made that big of adjustment. So that's going to be my one play for this game. Ezekiel Elliott over 18.5 receiving. He's had 40 yards and 72 yards the last 2 weeks. And to be honest, eye test, he looks great. I think he looks really, really good. He does not look like the slow, broken down, Zeke that we saw at the end of last year with Dallas. Is he peak Ezekiel Elliott? No, but his catches look really good. His targets are there. And I think this is going to be a really close game. I'm stunned that the line is as big as it is with a Kansas City team that can't score that much. So, and this is a Chiefs team that gave up 83 yards last week to James Cook. James Cook absolutely starched him in the passing game. So Zeke over 18.5. And I mentioned the Chiefs. I like their team total under 23.5. I think it's too many points. This is a Patriots team that is just locked down these guys. And you look at the Chiefs, they're not even averaging 23 points a game. It's coming in just a little bit under that. And the Patriots are playing these slow-paced, like, let's just grind it out, low-scoring games, and you look at their defense, and they're not even getting close to letting teams get to this 23 mark. You look at what they've done recently. They were just in a game where they held the Steelers to 18 points, the Chargers to 6, and the Giants to 10. Before that, the Colts only scored 10 points. Washington scored 20. I mean, we're going back to Miami where they scored 31 points, where you find a team that got over this total. So this defense is locked in. The weapons in the running game for the Chiefs are non-existent right now. I could see this being like a 17-13, just kind of grueling. Chiefs kind of run out the clock in the second half. But I don't think they get to 24 points. So I like Zeke as my favorite player prop, but I would not be scared to play an under on the Chiefs on their team total. Andrew, you mentioned Tommy DeVito. Here he goes. Giants at the Slates, him and his agent and his home-cooked meals. I love the story that he was like, yeah, my mom doesn't even have to cook meals anymore because all the neighbors bring over meals now. And it was like, wow, you already had your family doing everything for you. Now the neighbors are doing everything. What a life. This guy's got it made. What do you think about the Giants and the Saints here?
He's not complaining, is he, Andy? He's not complaining. He's living the life. He likes that one quite a bit. I'll tell you, you're a bold man for taking that under, but I'll tell you that Chiefs team is different this year, so I don't see them blowing teams out too crazy. So I like that quite a bit. And looking at this one, you kept it short and simple with one prop you really liked the most in that past game. I'll tell you what, I don't know what got into me at the start of the year for taking Saquon Barkley unders. Like, I feel like this Giants team could be down 40 points and they would still hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley. And that's what I've had to learn is that there's certain teams that, like I just talked about taking the under for Breece Hall. I didn't expect their game to be very close. But the funny thing is I talk about over like a 4 or 5 game scale, 10 game scale. Over the last 3 games, The New Orleans Saints have the third worst rushing defense. Over the past 3 games, they have one of the best passing defenses. I like Saquon over here. 78 point. He's averaging 78.3 rushing yards, which is the 4th best in the NFL this year. Saints have allowed an average of 191, and it kind of correlates. I like Tommy DeVito under, man. Like, he's had some nice like drives, game-winning drives even, but have you noticed compared to other quarterbacks, they've tried to like make him not have to make plays, keep the ball out of his arms, under on completions, under on yards. Like I mentioned, it's very simple right now. Over the past 3 weeks, this New Orleans Saints team has struggled near the bottom of the league as far as their rushing defense, and they are at the top of the league as far as their passing defense. If you're still looking at season-long statistics in the NFL when betting props right now, you're hurting yourself. You have to be looking at recency. I'm not saying just look at the last week and say, all right, this team sucks against this position. But if you have to look at 3, 4, 5 weeks maybe. And Saquon, to me, is looking like a leader out there. The way he's talking to his teammates on the sideline, the way he can impact the game just off 1 or 2 plays is huge. So I'm going to take him over. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news to everybody, but I'm going under on DeVito. And I kind of like the team total under for the Saints. But you know what really makes me mad about this Saints team is that they seem to always come alive in the second half. I've taken 2 team total unders on the Saints this year, and both of them looked amazing at halftime. And then they just died in the second half. So maybe a first half play on the Giants, I guess. But let's cash those 2 props, Andy. Saquon over and DeVito under.
How dare you fade Tommy DeVito? How dare you, Andrew? He's the talk of the town in New York,
Yeah.
man.
Have you seen his numbers?
Yes, I have. Okay, great point. If you're gonna, I guess if you bring up numbers, yeah, I guess so. Andrew, you mentioned the looking at recency numbers. Let's just go ahead and talk about some recency number. I got them here in front of me. Some rushing numbers that could be deceiving if you're looking at season. You mentioned the Saints on the season, 131 yards per game, but the last 3, 191. If you want to flip that, Pittsburgh, who I mentioned on the season, 118 yards per game, but in the last 3, 85. Denver, 144 yards rushing on the season, in the last 3, 90. They have knocked that thing down like 55 yards per game. It's a defense that is really, really turning around. And then the Philadelphia Eagles, 94 yards on the season, 152 in the last 3 weeks. So you've got some teams where if you're not looking at recency, you're going to get some bad numbers that do not reflect what is actually happening. So, yeah, great work. You do have to look at these numbers, and you just have to pay attention to what's going on injury-wise, game script, and where they're at. What's their motivation? So,
and
I'm going to take a look at
one quick point about that is like matchups. Like you can. There's so many websites out there that offer like how does this team stack up against running backs in the passing game or tight ends, right? And I find that sometimes you look at these numbers and you can be like, this team has shut down tight ends. It's like, well, yeah. Have you seen the tight ends they've played? Right. And so that's also a factor is like looking at, you can look at recency and be like, okay, can you name the best 3, tight ends that they've gone up against over the past few weeks? So that's one thing I've noticed as well. When you see like people hyping up how a team plays against a certain, position, I got to make sure those guys they've been playing are actually good players.
Couldn't agree more. I think it's an absolutely great point. You're right. Some of those websites, like, well, he matches up great. Like, does he though? Does he match up pretty good? Because they're missing half their offensive line this week. So I'm going to talk about the Falcons and the Panthers. Yikes. I like the Panthers team total under whatever it is. This is a Falcons team that I think is just going to control the line of scrimmage. I haven't had any bets on the Panthers, so I haven't had to force myself to watch extended like length of time on the Panthers, but man, is that a tough watch. So I'm going to go with the Falcons to absolutely run the ball at will against the Carolina Panthers. The Panthers are coming off just getting smoked again by the Saints. They're at home. There's an interesting trend in this one. It's Drake London and how he goes over when he's at home, but not on the road. So 66 yards receiving per game at home, 42 on the road. And I know Drake London's coming off of a really, really, really nice game. I'm wondering if that's going to throw everybody off the scent here, and people are going to forget about the home road splits. Desmond Ridder is kind of the same way. So I think I'm going to fade Drake London, and because of that, I'm just going to be looking at some of these rushing props for the Atlanta Falcons here. I think sneaky might be a Tyler Algier to score a touchdown. I could see them getting the ball inside the 5-yard line quite a bit against this Panthers team, and I'm not really sure what the motivation is for some of these Panthers players. So when I look at some of the rushing props in this game, Bijan Robinson is 62.5. I don't have one for Tyler Algier, but I think he could score a touchdown, and I think Desmond Ridder at 14.5. This just feels like Atlanta holds the ball for like 75% of the second half as they run out the clock. So I don't think they need to pass the ball a lot. So I'll take Drake London under, and I'll take a look at Bijan Robinson over his total in this one. Guys, please hit the like button, leave us a comment, tell us your best bet. Don't forget to go over to WagerTalk.com and use the promo code GIFT25, GIFT25. It works on any handicapper. You can use it on Andrew.
Are we good? All right. Do you want me to just keep going, Dan? Okay. All right. I'm going to jump into, we have the Rams in a play, and I'm going to go ahead and talk about this Rams team and look at some numbers that you might want to fade. The fact of the matter is some of these matchups that they've had recently, I think that they've kind of gotten exposed a little bit. You look at the Rams, they've played the Ravens, they've played the Browns, Cardinals, Seahawks. The only real game that they've played against a decent team, no offense to the other three teams, was against the Ravens, and they allowed 37 there. I'm going to take the over passing yards for Sam Howell. They're paying, obviously going up against the 20th ranked pass defense. Sam Howell, his completions have gone over in 8 of last 10 games, and his passing yards have gone over in 8 of his last 10 games. As much as going into the season, we saw kind of a dual threat, shared workload type of running back room in Washington, it seems to me with Sam Howell taking over, it's been an incredibly pass-heavy offense. Even in games they are close in, I believe the Commanders can hang around in this one. And I remember a couple weeks ago, Andy doing a nice chant about Kyren Williams, kind of pepping him up a little bit and boosting him. But you know what else has been boosted are his numbers. And you look at the rushing plus receiving for him. Now I'm seeing 117.5. That number is just too big, Andy. That number is too big. And, this is a team that I just don't respect very much right now. This Rams team, I feel like they've only looked good in favorable matchups. The Commanders have done a good job of holding on to possession. It take a long time to drive the ball. If they can keep the ball out of the Rams' hands, it'll be really tough for Williams to get those numbers. And you're not just asking him to do well rushing, you're asking him to contribute a little bit in the receiving game as well. And I just don't think he does that. So looking towards Williams unders and Sam Howell. I'm telling you, this Rams team, when they play a decent quarterback that loves throwing the ball a lot, he'll go over his passing yards. So it's worked for me before when I find some good spots. And Andy, I just think this Rams defense is a little bit overrated. And talking about recency, when they've played any type of good team at all and a quarterback that's playing decent, they don't look like they're a good team at all. They only look good against bad teams. So I'll try and fade them this week.
Kyren Williams.
No, not
Let's
this
go,
week.
Kyren.
Not this week. Nope.
I got him on my fantasy team. So I'm pulling for a big week. I did make a big move on my fantasy team, Andrew. I moved Deontay Johnson from receiver into flex just kind of send a message to the team that nobody's roster spot is safe, and we're going to need a big performance. Otherwise, you're cut. So we got standards. I'm going to take a look at the 49ers, the 49ers and Cardinals. Um, this is an interesting game because I feel like the square plays win more often than not, and I'm just looking at this Christian McCaffrey rushing prop, and I'm going, oh man, do I want to take the most obvious play, Christian McCaffrey over 88 and a half? Like the guy had a 72-yard run last week. They should absolutely run through this Cardinals team. The backup running back situation in San Francisco is not very good. You've got Jordan Mason, but he's only getting a couple of carries. So I feel like you don't need to watch prop it up for somebody to say, I think Christian McCaffrey might have a good game. So the number that jumps out to me, Andrew, I'd love your opinion on this one. But why is Kyler Murray only 209 and a half passing yards? I feel like this number is incredibly low for a team that most likely is going to be down and is going to be throwing. And you look at the last two quarterbacks, they have flown over this total. Jalen Hurts had 298 yards against San Francisco. And again, you're kind of playing this catch-up mode against the 49ers. And I don't know, maybe it's because Kyler Murray didn't have a big game in that completely strange game against the Steelers where they had weather delays and Mitch Trubisky was doing his Mitch Trubisky thing, and they ran the ball pretty successfully. But they're off of a bye week, and this is a team that they played earlier this year when Josh Dobbs was a quarterback. Dobbs flew over this total, and I just feel like this number is way too low. I liked Easton Stick to go over 188 and a half last night, kind of for similar reasons, which it was like, yeah, you don't know what the motivation is, then this number is way too low in a game that they should be throwing. So I feel like Kyler Murray is going to be throwing, and this is a pretty sneaky play that I think the number is way wrong. I wouldn't be surprised if he got to 230 or 240, with a majority of that coming in the second half when the score is like, 28-10 or anything. I don't know. What do you think when you got a number that's this low on a quarterback you expect to be down? I feel like there's value in this.
So this is not really something I've ever done on a prop it up show, but I think that if your book allows you to bet live yards, I almost think you can get a better number at halftime in this one, Andy. You're going to be banking on
I like
him.
Where you're going.
Like you just kind of spoke it into existence. I just tapped it in for you. This is going to be one of those games where you need the garbage time stats. Like this game could be a 25-point blowout, and Andy's like, come on, give me 10 more. Like you're going to be watching this game, even if it's not even close, because you're looking for the yards. So that's kind of how I'd approach it. That's what I'd look at. Would you feel safer looking at attempts, or do you think that, he's the kind of guy that could, throw a couple 20 or 30 yarders that would be like, damn, I should have taken just yards, more of that ballpark?
Yeah, I think I just want the yards. I could see him having, I don't know, 75 or 80 yards in the first half, and then, San Francisco runs the ball quite a bit, but isn't that motivated after they get the league, and then all of a sudden, there's Kyler Murray finishing the game with 238 yards and a touchdown and an interception, and it's like, okay, yeah, the Cardinals, got beat handily because San Francisco is a machine and they're just crushing everybody. But I just can't get away from the last two games where the quarterbacks have flown over this total. So I'll just stick to yards. Again, I think the theme this week is try and keep it very, very simple. Stay away from the games we don't really like. And, outside of the obvious Christian McCaffrey, and I mean, the team total for San Francisco is 30 and a half in this game. So, the books are telling you, what the books are telling you what they think, but I think all these numbers are so inflated on the 49ers, it's tough to take there. So I want to take a low number that I think is gettable. So got two more games left. Cowboys at the Bills. Andrew, what'd you like in this one?
Well, I've used the word recency quite a bit today. Man, if you're a fan of recency, how about James Cook? 58 yards rushing against the Chiefs last week, and receiving, he had 83 on 5 catches. So that's something worth looking at. But the fact of the matter is, it's time, Andy, to go back to unders with Dak Prescott. And look, he's having a great season. They're putting him in the MVP race here. But the fact of the matter is his numbers have been overinflated still by, I believe, some blowout type of games. He showed up in some tight games. He showed up in some close ones. But I still believe they looked more towards the run game in situations like this. Let's not forget their field goal kicker has actually been great. And to me, when he has been throwing the ball, it's been a lot of shorter passes lately. It's not been too deep downfield. There's a reason why with even guys like Lamb, you're looking more towards receptions every week and not as much yards. You know, they're just keeping the offense very simple, which I think has helped him not throw as many interceptions. But the number I'm seeing right now is 282.5. And this Bills defense, talk about road home splits. They have been like almost like weirdly better at home, Andy. It's incredible. They have the third best differential in the league from road versus home defensive statistics. It's unbelievable, but that's what I'm looking at. Hopefully they can shut Dak Prescott down. And then kind of a unique one that I've never really mentioned before. You can call it a same game parlay, I guess, but Josh Allen's having a ridiculous year as far as his interceptions are concerned. Even over the past few weeks where he's gotten better and, you know, taking care of the ball better and you know, his passing game has looked good, he's still throwing picks. All right. And this Bills team, like I mentioned, they're better than they've seemed. I like the number on both guys to throw an interception plus 175. You know, forget about both guys to throw a passing touchdown, Andy. How about both guys to make a mistake, to mess up when they try and go deep at least once during this game, and you're getting a plus 175 price? That one sticks out to me. And in one of these games where you see so much talk about overs in the receiving position, rushing, quarterback yards, I kind of like over 3.5 field goals. Like I mentioned, Aubrey's been great for the Cowboys. The Bills are a team that's been a lot more conservative after a ton of boneheaded decisions from their coach early on in the season. Everyone was calling for his head. Over 3.5 field goals might be a sneaky one that people only look to play field goal props in crappy games, not too star-studded games. But I think when these teams go out there, defense could actually be doing well in this game.
Nice. We got one more game, and I only have one more prop. It's going to take me 15 seconds to break down. So, Andrew, real quick, just tell everyone one more time what you have up for this weekend over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, short and simple, Andy. We got a 5% NFL prop bet going on Sunday. It's a 7-1 run for me in the NFL. Looking forward to cashing this ticket.
Love it. Got a 5% pack that is up. It's going to include all of our NFL plays and our NCAA college football total on a really, really nice 27-8 run in football, 12-3 on the season in college football. We hit our 5% last week. Looking forward to cash that. Ravens and Jaguars. I mean, this Jaguars is the worst pass defense in the league right now. They're giving up 301 yards passing per game the last three. Lamar Jackson over 215.5 passing. He's coming off a really nice passing game last week. You're just fading this Jaguars pass defense. That's all there is. It's all you need to do for this game. So that is going to do it for us, guys. Please hit the like button. Leave us a comment. Tell us your best bet. Tell us what you like for this weekend. Remember, you do not have to overexpose yourself with units. Don't have to bet every game. Let's make sure we lock in those profits. Take a really, really good look at your bankroll management. Make sure it's spot on this weekend. And don't forget to use that promo code GIFT25 for $25 off a 7-day pass. Good luck on all your bets. We got a really, really nice show planned for Monday. Dan from Philadelphia is going to come on and tell us why he thinks the Philadelphia Eagles are terrible all of a sudden. So join us on Monday. We'll go over all that, and we will see you